Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Round Robin. I am your host, Tracy Preston, and with me is Christine Mulligan, Nina Mulligan, Regina Lindsay, Angela Sinclair, and of course, my husband, Todd Preston. Hey, everyone.
Hey. Hello. Hey there. Hi.
Hey.
I still like the hello. The hello. All I can think about is, remember back in the day, the cartoons with the, what was his name? The big rooster?
Foghorn Leghorn.
Foghorn Leghorn. Remember the old haggard hen with the glasses? Wasn't that what she used to do? Hello.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking me back there, Nina. I love it. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to apologize. I am traveling this week and surrounding myself in a wall of pillows. So if it doesn't have our normal sound, that's why. So I apologize, guys. But the show must go on whether I travel for work or not. So that being said, today we are going to be discussing the story of Chris Regan. So Chris Regan was a man who had moved up to the UP in Iron River as he was rekindling or kindling up a friendship, turning it into, they were going to make a go at a relationship with a woman named Terry O'Donnell. So Chris was working up at Oldenburg Group, and they would manufacture pieces of equipment that would go on Navy ships and stuff like that. And that's where Chris ran into a woman named Kelly Cochran. Was really like the beginning of the end for Chris. So as we all remember, he had an affair with Kelly. He had broken up with Terry. He was kind of addicted to the porn thing. Ended up having an affair with Kelly Cochran, who was married to a man named Jason. And before long, actually, Chris was actually deciding that, hey, it's not working up here for me. I'm going to move in with my son. We're going to move. We're leaving the state. I think they were going to go to North Carolina. And Chris, his background is he was trying to remember what branch of the military he was in, maybe the Navy. And so he was, a very structured worker. He was very orderly. His apartment was neat and clean. And, when he started working at the Oldenburg Group, they immediately kind of put him into a leadership position because of his skill set, because of the way he functioned. And all of a sudden, Chris just doesn't show up for work, which is highly unusual. And it was about 2 weeks. So he ended up disappearing on October 14th, 2014. He no longer showed up for work after that. And then, 2 weeks go by. He ends up getting fired because that's policy. But guess what? It doesn't matter. He's dead. Fire him or not. And it was Terry O'Donnell, the girl that he had broken up with. They still stayed close with one another. And she was like, yo, dude, something is not right. We talk all the time. I haven't heard from him. Something's wrong. And it's really, I'm going to give big ass props to Terry O'Donnell. If it wasn't for her, there would have never been an investigation. Kelly would have gotten away with it. So a couple of things, I was kind of going over a few things. So this is what I find interesting, right? So, Terry goes in and she talks to the chief of police at that time, which was unusual, was Laura Frizzo. Right? So she's up in the UP. She is the only female who's ever held a position like this over men. Ever. So we all kind of know what that's like, except for Todd, because he's a dude. But I think we've all been in that kind of position where you're kind of like in a man's world and, it's a little bit of a struggle sometimes. This Laura Frizzo, like Terry had told Laura, like, listen, Chris's car, I see it in this park and ride. It's been there for 2 weeks. And so I sit here and I wonder, doesn't anybody ever monitor the park and ride? Why did police never get, you know what I'm saying? Isn't that like, don't they, well, it's the UP. I don't know if they have cameras there or not, but still, I would have thought that someone would have noticed that a car is sitting there for 2 weeks. So I found that a little weird. What did you guys think about that? Anything?
Yeah, that was pretty weird. Nobody said anything. That is weird.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm like, odd. Because I can tell you right now, if we parked in our street overnight, our goddamn neighbors would be calling the cops.
No shit. We wouldn't even be able to make it past the curfew hours.
I don't know. Yeah, there'd be a knock at the door.
I mean, if it's a park and ride, though, you kind of see the same vehicles there in the mornings and in the evenings, and you don't really know if they've been there overnight. I mean, maybe the staff or, like, security that worked at the park and ride overnight. I mean, I might find it suspicious to be like, wow, I mean, that dude gets here apparently at the same time every day because he's always got the same parking spot, but I don't know if it would necessarily pique my curiosity that seeing the same vehicles because I would expect to. Make sense?
It makes sense, but I don't know. Maybe it's the way my mind works because I'd be like, uh-oh, something's amiss.
Yeah.
That's all right.
That is, and it's not like it was a airport parking where you would expect somebody to park there and be gone for a couple of weeks necessarily.
True.
So, I mean, I get that too.
And, and plus this is like a really small, I think the population in Iron River is like 3,000 people. That's not a lot. So
Right.
Yeah, because it's too cold up there for human beings to live.
yes, it is. We got to get up there.
The thing that strikes me is I kind of feel like if I was in that area, I would be more worried that we don't have anyone policing the area ever, that at no point in time has a cop driven through that parking lot. So that's like a hot spot for people to go to do dubious things because nobody ever checks it out.
Yeah.
It's opening up windows of suspicious places.
Yeah, and the other thing because I was doing more research before we did the show tonight. So under Chief Laura Frizzo, I think she only had like 3 other cops. That's how small the department was.
Yeah, but they don't drive around the neighborhood ever.
Well, you would think
Like
they would. Like,
patrol?
yeah,
Have a point of patrol?
yeah, patrolling's a thing.
Are you a patrolman?
It might be such a large rural area, you know what I mean, that they might not be able to patrol it regularly. They might get to it maybe once every couple of weeks, maybe once a month.
It's probably like Olivet where they only have like 2 cops.
Right.
Exactly.
Those 2 cops, I mean, shouldn't you have enough cops to patrol your area? Shouldn't they drive through places at least once a week?
Well,
They should.
yeah, they should. But I mean, Christine, you live in Florida. It's city on top of city on top of city. Sometimes you can drive around and not see any cops. Our little town you would, but some of these more rural places, you're not going to see a freaking cop.
I understand the concept of it, but I'm just saying, that's why city folk like me are afraid of rural places. Because we know there's a lot of nooks and crannies that nobody will ever find you.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
You could go missing and no one would notice, or there's just, as we say in Texas, a lot of cow patties between here and there. Like, nobody's going to be looking for you there.
Yeah.
Scary.
It is. Kelly and her husband, Jason, when they were married, like on their wedding night, they made a love pact, remember? So, I was trying to find up some, are there other love pacts like this? No. There is no other love pact out there that I could come across where it says, yo, girl, if you sleep around on me while we're married, you have to kill that person, and vice versa for me. Usually love pacts are, hey, you know what, you're like my best friend, and if by time we're 65, if we're still, old biddies, you're a single man, I'm a single woman, we're getting married. At 65, if we're still single, let's do it. That's all I could find. Who the hell came up with this pact? I'm thinking it was Kelly.
I'm thinking it was too, because that chick is straight up evil. I remember before we did this story and we came across her mugshot. I have never seen anybody that looks so unremorseful ever. I mean, she really looked like a monstrous bitch.
Her and Jason took off to Indiana, and then she ended up dosing him up on heroin, and then she smothered him so aggressively that she collapsed his sinus passages. And then you remember then the detective Ogden, he got brought into it from the FBI, and she was like, oh, California looks good this time of morning or something like that. Something about the sun rising in California and blah, 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 trying to throw him off. She must have been out doing drugs herself because she looked even worse and uglier than she did before she left.
Yeah.
Like sores on her face, on her forehead. I mean, she looked rough.
She had a drug problem her whole teenage years.
That's right.
She was back at home. She could get the hookup.
That's right. I forgot about that, Angela. Thank you for reminding me. That is absolutely right. Right, because she was having problems as a teenager doing drugs and all that. So I totally forgot about that.
Her appearance could have been from dietary issues too, from eating exotic peefelburgers.
It's not good for your complexion.
I love how we get so into these stories that we just believe them wholeheartedly. Like, who's to say there was actually a pact, or that's just what this crazy lady is kind of alluding to now? Because, one of the people that were supposedly in the pact is now dead. So
exactly.
How do we know? That's just a story.
Yep.
Well, that's true. Because remember, she was pretty intelligent, right? She went to college and she did criminal justice and forensics.
Forensics and psychology.
Thank you. Forensics and psychology. And she was getting worried because, let's just step it back. So they're married. I don't know how long they're married. And then the next thing you know, her husband gets hurt. And so he can't have sex. He can't do this. He can't do that. He's in pain. And supposedly that's when the whole, well, listen, I need to have sex and this is how it's going to be. It's going to be open marriage. He was not into it at all. Wasn't it Kelly? She was the one who said that they made the love pact on their wedding night, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Jason never said that. So it very well could have been a story or a lie that she told because she was very good at lying to people to get them to, feel sorry for her, like saying that Jason was going to kill her and then kill himself kind of thing. So she was really good at manipulating people. She had a degree in psychology.
She was tough as balls, but she was like, Jason over here, I think they're going to get him to crack and he's going to confess. I'm sure it was her that was doing all the killing, not him. So maybe that's why she killed him, right? Like, I got to keep this going, but she's spinning out of control.
I could definitely believe that.
Yeah, good point, Christine. In all of the interviews, her story is constantly changing. To that point, when I was looking up some information, Chris was murdered in October of 2014. Her trial was in 2017 where she was found guilty. And then, then she had like a phone interview. So you can Google up abc.com. And I wrote it down. It's season 45, episode 34. It's called Where Monsters Hide. So it's very similar to the White North. It had a lot of, some of the clips from the movie White North. Laura Frizzo was in it. And Juju Chang did a phone interview with Kelly. And you guys are going to love this. I wrote it down. Hold on. So during the interview, Juju Chang said, after speaking with investigators, they said that to them, she was pure evil. And so what do you have to say about that? And she said, quote, I believe that's bullshit because I'm not a bad person. I was raised by good people. I've never harmed anybody. And that was in June of 2023 that she actually had the balls to say that.
She totally admitted to killing people on a phone call with her mother and the detective that actually busted her, the guy that got with Chief Rizzo.
Yep, Detective Ogden.
She admitted to it to both people and her brother.
Yeah, she did. And to that point, to her brother, she admitted to 9 others. And
what?
Yep, that was in the that 2020 that I watched tonight just before the show. They showed a little clip, and they must have cut that out from the White North because I don't remember that in there. But Kelly's brother was being interviewed by Ogden, and he said that she had confessed to killing 9 others to her brother.
Yep.
Yep, she even listed where all the bodies were, but she didn't give like pinpoints, but all the other states.
That's right.
Michigan, Indiana, Minnesota, and there was one other. I can't remember the other one.
Was it Wisconsin?
I think it was Ohio, Michigan, Indiana.
There was like 4 of them.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And also, she also denied ever having a barbecue. Denied in that 2020 interview, denied ever having a barbecue because, of course, right, the neighbors on the night that he was murdered, come to find out, that's when they were hearing all the reciprocating saws and cutting and this and that and screaming, and then the 2 cars hauling ass. There was that journal that Jason kept because after the murder, he went a little kooky. Remember that? Like I think he went and he institutionalized himself for a hot minute, and that's where he wrote that journal, like with all kinds of weird stories. But I think he was actually really talking about their life when they were searching her house. Kelly and Jason went across to the neighbors, and the neighbors, were talking about all the noises they were hearing. And then the next thing you know, they get invited over for a barbecue. And in Jason's journal, he even said that wife saves the day with a barbecue. Yeah, so totally denied that.
Of course she's going to, because what if they have more evidence now than what they did before, and they can actually charge her with those murders, but she's going to deny them? You know what I mean? At the time, they couldn't pin any other. She had made some sort of a deal where she couldn't be charged with those other murders.
I guess at the end of the day, she's going to die in prison.
I think it's a control thing, because with most serial killers, they want that control. That is part of that. Say they're dying in prison or whatever, and they're in their 70s.
Right, and the Oakland County child killers, we've talked about that before. There's people rotting in jail right now over that. And then you have Andrea Bowman's adopted dad. There's stuff that he's still hanging on to.
Well, and some of that, too, I think it's the way they stay relevant, if that makes sense. It's like there's still going to be people coming to them, seeking them out, to ask them questions, to implore them, to give up additional information. All of this, it's a way of their still getting attention, all these years later.
True. Yeah. Getting the calls, the interviews, getting me out of my cage for a minute.
Right, that's when Diane Sawyer wants to come and interview you in the prison, 20 years after a crime, because there's still details that nobody knows.
Juju Chain calling you. You got to call Juju Chain from 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Infamy.
Yep.
Another tidbit that Kelly had told Juju was, she said, quote, I was trying to do what I thought was right when she was talking about, her marriage with Jason. She's like, you go to school, you go to college, you get married. I got bored from getting married. It was okay at the start, but all I did was work.
That's called life.
Yeah. Like, she's like, you got hurt. I have to take care of you now? No, I'm not into that.
Yeah, caregiver role strain is a real thing. If you're relatively young and your partner does get hurt and you end up, having to go to work and come home and care for them 100% of the time. I have a child with a disability. It's exhausting. But that's when you find some help, and I think her response may have been a little extreme.
Well, she said her mom asked her, why didn't you come to me? We could have fixed this, or we could have tried to fix this. And she said she already did. So that was her way of saying, I've already tried to get help, but nothing will help me because I am the way I am. She said that she had no emotions or anything. She didn't have any regret. She admitted to not having a conscience. She admitted to not having empathy or feelings or anything like that. So her telling the opposite interview, it just doesn't make any sense.
She's out there with the investigators to try and find the body, and she's asking for a cheese pizza, right in the middle of the investigation. So she clearly does not have a conscience.
No.
And
a Coke.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And smoke.
Maybe along the way with all of her peefelburgers, maybe she mixed up and got a little brain in that.
Maybe.
That's a very good possibility.
Was she a nurse?
That's actually a good thought to stem off of. Like, we all develop coping mechanisms, and a lack of empathy sometimes is just that. It's not a lack of empathy. It's just recategorizing it. Because as nurses, we do some fucked up shit that as a human outside of our work, we would be like appalled by it. Do you know what I mean? Not in a horrible way. And even the way I can find to talk about it makes it sound really, really bad. But it's not. I mean, we're doing a job where we're taking care, and of course we're doing it with respect. It's the humor side of it, from nurse to nurse, you know, in the trenches, so to speak, where we would find humor in it, where most people would be appalled by it. Like, are you kidding me right now? You're laughing? You know?
Because you have to laugh or cry.
Yeah.
Right? And you can't cry all day at work. I mean, I'll never forget, like, losing my first child in the ER. You know, most of the time it's like most of us are. It's like in a code, in a crisis, it's like you are laser focused and nothing gets through. And then once things have ended for fair or for ill, whatever it is, then you have your nervous breakdown, right? You don't have the luxury of having it in the moment. And so after this code, though, I go in the locker room and I went into the staff bathroom and I locked the door and I'm in tears and I called my cousin's wife, who's also a nurse, right? And so I'm telling her about it. And, you know, she's listening and she's empathetic because she had been a paramedic and an ER nurse as well. But she goes, yeah, I used to lock myself in the supply room and cry. And I was like, yeah, I'm in the staff bathroom. And she goes, okay, well, we talked for a few minutes. She goes, you good? And I said, well, no, not really. She's like, all right, well, you're able to, like, control yourself. I said, yeah. She's like, good. All right, suck it up and get back to work. You got lives to save. And that's how we have to deal with it, you know, because you don't have the luxury of dwelling on this horrible incident that just happened because you'd fall apart. Mm-hmm. We'd all be in the nuthatch after our first shift.
Exactly. Well, I think we all have the ability to disassociate, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have to. I remember my first surgery case. I'm like, okay, Trace, you can't think about that human being that's getting their leg cut off above the knee. Right. You already had one. Now we're doing number 2. It's like, no. Focus on the procedure. Focus on the science. Focus on this. You know, I had to remove that person from being a person. And then lo and behold, I go into work the next day in ICU and guess who my patient is? I'm like, oh gosh, now I got to reverse all of that. Now I have to deal with the heavy emotions of all of this. Nurses are awesome.
I think it takes a special kind of person to do that, and I give all of you girls props because I could not do that. I mean, I probably could if I had to, but you guys are amazing for doing your job the way you do and dealing with all of that. Amazing. I just wanted to say that.
Well, thank you. We all have, we all have the things. We're all made to do what we're supposed to be doing. There's a lot of jobs that other people do. I'm like, I don't know how you do that job. I couldn't do that. Nope.
Yeah, like school teacher.
Yeah.
Guys, the irony of this is there's 3 psychopathic nurses that just on the reg on this call talking about psychopathic murderers. It's just so ironic. And ironic.
Isn't it?
Why do I hear Alanis Morissette in my head now?
Really? Earworm. Isn't it ironic?
Thanks, Christine. I'm going to wake up with that shit at 2:30 in the morning when I'm hot flashing.
And yeah, I really do think. Sorry.
You know what else? I'm jumping back to that 2020 episode. Kelly, she's always fabricating something. It's a different story all the time. Well, when she was having this interview with Juju Chang, she's like, well, did you kill Chris? No. Jason did. He disabled him, and then he cut him up to pieces in front of me. And she said, well, why didn't you do anything about it? Now, her story is she was tied up.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. She can't help herself.
Oh, she's a pathological liar.
Yeah. And then they panned over to Laura Frizzo, and she was dumbfounded. She's like, that's the first time I ever heard that.
Right?
Oh, and just, and I think we did talk about it that, at the end of the show, Detective Ogden and Chief Frizzo. Oh, wait, let me back up. So Laura Frizzo solves the case, did all the hard work for, I don't know how long, a long ass time.
2 years.
2 years she investigated this case. She was getting pushed back from everyone left and right. So she solves the case. She finds Chris's body parts, its skull in the woods and all that kind of stuff. And her boss fired her. Remember that?
Yeah.
Because they do things differently. Yeah, she solved a murder that you had no interest in, dealing with. So then, anyway, cut to what I was going to say is that Detective Ogden and Laura Frizzo, they ended up, when all this case was, wrapping up and this and that, they're like, oh, I'm liking you a whole bunch. And they started dating. Well, they're married now.
Really?
Yeah, they're married. They bought property
so
up there.
cool.
I know. So I wanted to share that with you guys. I'm like, oh, man, they're married now. That's cool.
Well, what brought you guys together? Alice, murder?
Well, I mean, that's what brought us together, so
Mhm.
there's that.
There is that.
There is that. See? It's binding. You're mine forever. Nina, what's going
Just to
on?
clarify, not committing murder, but just talking about
Right. We're not killing anybody unless they need it
today.
We all need those cute little shovel necklaces.
We do. I swear, that's it. I'm on it.
You have been tasked. Nina, you're so quiet. Where are you? What are you doing?
Oh no, I'm over here. I'm listening to everybody. Well, first and foremost, I feel like we're doing a lot of stories on people in Michigan eating other people in Michigan, and you should check their water. I think there's something wrong. I don't there's a lot
There's definitely something wrong with the water in Flint.
But then I got to thinking to myself, what would we call that? And so I thought for a long time, sorry, I got kind of lost in the wine. And in my thoughts, I thought to myself, I would call it a peefelburger. It's a peefelburger. So it would be half people, half beef, or a peefalo burger. No? You know what I'm saying? No?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It would be human anyway.
Okay, but you would mix it with the beef.
Well, what kind of
Beef,
what-
it's like a hybrid, patty. People make. You know what I'm saying? But then that also brought me to thinking about the good old days when I had a Vitamix. And now, if there's any listeners out there, the Vitamix is like the blender of all blenders, right? And it's like this. It was. And you can make your own chopped meat. So I would cube up my own meat and I'd make hamburger meat, in this blender. And I'm thinking to myself, what kind of blender would you need for people meat?
Those big hand cranks, they got it. Butcher.
Like the big old-fashioned grinder.
Just laying around their house. Who has this kind of time?
People that live on.
Who has this kind of time? But then I thought to myself, is there any instance where we have celebrated cannibalism, as kind of a badge of honor? And every time we talk about cannibalism and feeding people to other people, it makes me think of fried green tomatoes. When they fed the cops her ex-husband that was beating on her, remember? And then everybody because they ate the evidence.
Best damn barbecue he'd ever had.
It really makes you wonder about the whole name Ground Chuck.
Right.
Where the hell did that come from?
Now,
Are we really eating Chuck?
I think we've stumbled upon something. And Nina, what about a peeful shake? You got a meat shake. Because listen, I have a Vitamix, and I know that is one powerful piece of kitchen machinery. Yeah, we could emulsify that.
Yeah, but and I get that on, the beef, but on people, I just feel like I would be more difficult. It's a lot. It's a lot. I don't even think the Vitamix could handle that.
Big as a cow.
But when I'm thinking about like all of the stuff that a person is, like they're trying to dispose of all the evidence.
No, sweetie, you only make the food with the translucent meat.
Well, I was thinking about that today. I'm like, how could meat, it's red meat. How could it be translucent? Explain.
Maybe when it's cooked, it's different.
Maybe it was the intestines.
Oh, it's sausage. No, it's not. That's not like any brat I've ever had. So Nina, there's your answer. They ground up the meat and then stuffed it back into his intestines and made brats. No?
That sounds not delicious. I'm gonna pass on that. I don't know what that would be. It would be a people dog. Is a people dog? I mean,
there is now.
That reminds me, there was like this crazy song that my cousin taught me when I was a kid that was about a guy that I guess had a sausage factory. Anyway, in the end of the song, he gets pushed into the machine by his wife and ground up into sausages.
See?
And I think I was like 6, and my cousins were teaching me this song.
Oh, well,
and now I'm not singing it to you.
Come on.
Sweeney Todd?
No, it was John Rebeck. That was the name of the song. I have to look it up.
Regina, come on, girl.
No, not happening.
Come on. Do it for the show.
Nope.
Damn it.
Okay, tell us the words to the song in a sing-songy fashion.
Nice try.
Lullaby it to us. Well, that was fun.
He had invented like a sausage making machine. That's what was the premise of this song.
Yeah, we got that, but
at the end of it, it's one night that thing had busted. It simply wouldn't go. So John Lebeck hopped inside to see what made it so. His wife was having nightmares and walking in her sleep. She gave the thing a great big yank, and John Lebeck was beat. That's how the end of the song went.
Humans eating humans, and we just want to make believe it doesn't happen.
I know. It's been going on like forever and a day.
We just want to write songs and sing them to our children.
When they're tiny.
Yeah.
And look how you
So
turned
messed
out.
up. Yeah, I know it is. It's messed up. I don't know what else to tell you. Yeah, it was a fucked up song.
Maybe we need things like that in our childhood. You gotta have. Everybody has a little weirdo story.
We're from Michigan. Maybe that's not a good idea.
Probably.
Apparently, there's a lot of malice here.
Well, Michigan and Texas, we seem to have like the corner on the market for like completely weird shit. At motors and I don't know why that is. Concealed carry with no permit. I don't know.
I know. Florida has a lot of face eating stories.
A lot of what?
But I think we're skipping over like a really big factor here. Okay, can we just acknowledge that there is no frickin' way any of us are going to a barbecue, putting a peefelburger in our mouth, and not looking around, going, "What the fuck did I just put in my mouth?" You can't convince me that if you are not a people eater,
Another way to be tasty.
that somehow you did not pick up on the subtle nuances of the fact that it was not a hamburger.
Right?
You understand what I'm saying? That's like,
Jason was like looking at him going, "It's good, huh?"
that's like going here's some filet mignon, and then handing somebody liver and onions. And expecting them not to taste the difference.
Are you trying to say that the cow tastes better than me? than my.
No.
That's what I heard.
I said a peefelburger. Okay? A backyard peefelburger.
Okay, no.
Shut up. I'm serious.
No, I was joking.
Because how would the neighbors not walk away, or whoever they fed these burgers to, how did they not walk away from this and go, what, either I'm dying tonight because that was the most rancid meat I've ever had, or like, what was up with that?
Tastes a little gamey.
Yeah, I was joking about the hog. That just was an easy joke for.
I know.
I love hair fruit, but I agree with you because I do not like venison at all. Like I can smell venison cooking from a mile away. It is not my thing. I know some people love it and they say it's better than cow, but it's too gamey for me. Whatever that really actually means. But also bison, I kind of don't completely enjoy a bison burger.
Myoglobin.
I had one time, and I was like, "Oh, that was tasty." But then I had it. It was like a little aftertaste for me, though. But I was like, "No," but it was good. I had it again at an even more fancy restaurant, and it was gross, and it was like overpowering that same aftertaste that I had. Yeah. And I was like, "Yeah, no, I'll stick with cow meat. Like if I'm gonna do red meat, I'll do cow meat."
Yeah, but
that's what gamey means.
Yeah, but
that really strong kind of overpowering taste.
Yeah, but I just learned it all comes down to what they eat. So my neighbor was just telling me, her family, they're big hunting families, and she was telling me about the deer that are like in a certain area, they have that really gamey, like they're huge hunters, they have a ton of venison in their freezer. They all cooked it up, and her whole family was like, "Oh my God, what is this? This is horrible, this and that." She's like, "Oh no, it's fresh, it's this." And she's like, "It's good." Her piece to her wasn't that bad. I guess she didn't really notice it, but they just got up and threw the meat in the garbage. And then she was telling me about it all just depends on the area and what it is they're eating. Like, are they just eating crap, or are they eating, good food? Like corn or berries or
sweet corn, you mean?
Right. Well, right. Well, we have a whole lot of that up here anyway, but
we do too, but I still think it's cheating.
I agree. They're not cheating though. I mean, they're not doing that.
I mean, it'd be like camping out in the kitchen waiting for my cat to come to the dinner bowl. Okay, you've been putting food out for them. Food starts to get scarce about the same time that they're running. They're going to come where they've been getting food. It's cheating.
Mm-hmm. True. The whole point is what they eat. Because
sorry.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like if you're in an area that's got amazing, like I said, like up here there's cornfields everywhere and this and that, and they're eating berries and whatever, their meat tastes better. They don't have that gamey flavor. Because
my family says it's how you process it.
Okay, so I know now for a fact. Thank you, Tracy, for those facts. Because now I know that my meat is delicious. Because all I eat is tomato, grains, and mozzarella.
So, you're our Italian dish.
I'm not. I'm Irish, actually, but all I eat is tomato, grains, and mozzarella. That's it.
Yeah.
Once a year, I have some corned beef and cabbage. So I might not taste great that week.
Maybe what we need to do is all put ourselves on a certain diet so we have a variety.
No.
Tasty to our neighbors.
Each of us has to give an arm. That's our pact. Damn it. That's our round and pact.
I don't know where I was when you bitches signed the pact, but no thanks, I'm good.
Nobody's giving up any arms, Tracy, okay? Arms are important. Thanks.
A finger. What are we going to give? We have to give something of ourselves.
No. A couple of pounds off the butt cheek would be good.
Nope. We can do one of those third grade blood oaths where we prick our thumbs and put it together on a piece of paper and then seal it with wax.
And we each have and we each have to send each other a letter just like that. Oh my God.
Out of control.
This went so freaking sideways.
And what did you expect? You know who's on this call.
I know, that's the fun part. Because you really never know where it's going to go. It doesn't matter what we start out with.
Well, everyone knows it's definitely unscripted.
Yes, that is a fact.
There is a thing, though, that I know a lot of Michiganders, and I know people that are originally from Michigan. And if you are born and bred in Michigan and you've been there for a long time, and it really doesn't matter what nationality you are, all Michiganders have really beefy hands, like they could all be butchers. So I really think that it's in their genes. That butchery is in their genes, and there's mostly people. So,
Like Paul Bunyan.
yeah.
You're being very
I think the
stereotypical.
hand thing is from hockey sticks.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
And bowling.
Hand thing is actually probably because it's fucking cold up there, and they gotta beef up their knuckles. But
I'm just saying, every Michigander I know, it's like hockey and bowling. That's what they do.
for the sake of this conversation, I think that Michiganders should be wary that there are a lot of people out there that like to eat people, and that everybody has the propensity for butchery.
Oh, and by the way, not only do they have the propensity, but now, knowing what I know and what avid hunters you are, of course you're going to have industrial grinders at your house. So I'm never, ever going to a barbecue where I don't see the pack of meat that goes on the grill.
I need to see the
It better
package,
have-
please.
It better have a supermarket stamp, and I want to see a receipt from today. Okay?
Maybe that's what was wrong with that deer meat. Just saying, that venison that everybody got up and threw away.
And Robin,
Maybe that's what it was.
yeah, my friend's like, it tastes fine to me. I don't know what you guys are complaining about.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's like, oops, sorry, accidentally fed you my last victim.
His name was Chuck.
Exactly.
A package of hamburgers.
What kind of burgers that? I'm sorry, I was laughing.
A package of hamburgers.
Well, I mean, Christine said they were beefy hands.
Wait, she is very stereotypical, though, because first you told me last week that us Michiganders are very loud. And now you're
She
just...
like to be the pot or the kettle.
I know. And now she's saying all Michiganders have beefy hands.
We're loud,
Beefy.
beefy-handed people.
Beefy butchery people.
Not a bad thing.
Yeah,
You know
because
why
we all
we
know
have
New Yorkers are quiet.
Right. I know. I'm like, what the hell are you talking to me like that for?
We have beefy hands because we're corn fed. That's the saying up here.
Mm-hmm. And we're working hard.
Yeah,
Well, then the people burger shouldn't be that gamey.
But we have a good diet.
what? In Florida.
Right, I said then the people burger shouldn't be gamey because they're corn fed.
Oh, that's true. And berries.
Maybe that's why they couldn't tell they were eating a person.
Right. It tastes like that
Tasted
weird
like
ass
venison.
venison.
Maybe people taste like venison. Everything else tastes like chicken, but people taste like venison.
Could be.
And they have a
Gamey.
consistency of lobster or crab.
Exactly.
In all honesty, and I think Todd will back me up on this one. It is because Michiganders originally, like when you go all the way back, they were very Viking-y. They were Viking hereditary. You know, like
Yeah.
their heritage was Viking.
True.
And loggers.
Vikings were, 6 foot tall for small guys, and even women were tall and statuesque, and they had big knuckles, and they had large voices. So, you can't fight the genes.
She's like, I'm not giving up on this one.
It's not my fault. It's a good thing. Yeah.
Well, that was a good conversation, guys. Thanks. I got my giggles in. I needed it. All right. So thanks, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And
Wait a minute. We didn't give a moral of the story. Usually we always kind of boil it down.
what's the
So
more?
I think today is,
What's our takeaway?
don't go to home and barbecue. No, that's not true. My Michigan friends throw some good cookouts. So listen, the moral's got to just be mindful to not eat peefelburger. No, how do you say that?
Peeful.
People. Don't eat people burgers. Be wary.
That's Christine's takeaway. Anybody else?
I just can't stop looking at my hands now.
God's like, oh my God, she's right.
So there you have it, folks. Those are our takeaways from today. And also, don't sleep with scary women.
Yeah, don't do it.
It's not worth it, man.
No.
You might end up a peefelburger.
That's right. Do not. I think that's our biggest takeaway. Do not eat a peefelburger ever.
Don't become a people burger.
Most importantly. Yeah.
I'm going with that one.
Yep.
That's the moral of the story.
That one's a good, better one.
Yep. Don't become a peefelburger.
All right. Go ahead, Tracy. Close us out.
All right, we're closing out. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for coming back to listen. It really does mean so much to me and the team. So thank you. We appreciate you. Have a great rest of your week, and we will see you next week for Malice Monday. Have a great week, everyone.
Bye.
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 Go Lions!
Go Lions! All right, good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.